I'm going to show you guys an MLB strategy where you're guaranteed to hit 70% or more of the time in just 3 easy steps. So let's go ahead and jump into the whiteboard so I can show you exactly how to do that. So this is going to be an MLB hits strategy. All right, so first step, what we want to do, what we want to look for is we want to be able to find batters that are going against a pitcher that they don't bat well against. Okay, so what you want here is you want to find batters that are going against a pitcher that have at least 10 at-bats, okay, and are batting 200 or below versus that pitcher. Okay, so what you're looking for here is, for an example, let's just say Chris Sale. All right, let's say Chris Sale is going against Aaron Judge. Okay, let's say that Judge against Sale bats what? Let's say he bats 190 in 12 at-bats. All right, that's what you're looking for in step one. We want to find the batters that don't have a good matchup against the pitcher that they are going against. Not overall on a season, but just against that specific batter, because they should have at least 3 at-bats against that pitcher, at least. If the pitcher doesn't get rocked and then the pitcher ends up getting taken out and stuff like that. But they should have at least 3 ABs against that pitcher to be able to pretty much not get any type of hits, okay? And like I said, this is a hit strategy, but I'm going to get into it in step 2 exactly, step 2 and step 3, which exact bet that you're looking at, because it's not just hits, okay? You are looking at a specific type of hit for this strategy. But again, you want to find the batters that are going against pitchers with a bad average with at least 10 at-bats. So 200 and below is good. That's about the threshold. Okay? If they're batting like 250, 300 against the pitcher, no. That's not somebody that you're putting down. Now let's get into step 2. Now for step 2, you're going to find the overall probability percentage that the hitter goes under 1.5 hits. Okay? I'm going to circle that actually for everybody so you guys can understand. This is the biggest part of obviously the strategy here. Under 1.5 hits. That's the bet that you're looking at. Okay, so you want to find what the overall probability for that hitter to go under 1.5 hits on the season. Okay, so overall on the season. Now, what you need is you need this player to have at least a 70% hit rate on this bet. So they need to be 70% or higher overall. Okay, so for our example that we just went over with Chris Sale against Judge, let's say that Judge doesn't bat well against Chris Sale. He bats under 200, so we have him written down. Now we go to his probability percentage for him to get under 1.5 hits. Overall in the season, let's say he's at 72%. Okay, that would mean now we would be looking at Judge to go under 1.5 hits. That's the play that we would be looking at. Okay? It's very important that you understand it's under 1.5 hits. It's not under 0.5 hits. The reason why is because that they can just get lucky and get one hit. But in baseball, getting a hit is one of the hardest things that you can do. To get 2 hits in a game against a pitcher that they don't go well against, that they should have at least 3 at-bats, now think about this. The probability really sways in your favor there. So now you're heavily favored to be able to win that bet when the pitcher pitches well against that hitter and they get at least 3 at-bats against that hitter. Against that pitcher. Because just think of that. 3 at-bats, they don't do nothing in those 3 at-bats because they don't, hit well against that pitcher. Now maybe the bullpen comes in for maybe 1 at-bat, maybe 2 if they're having a good game, but you would need them to go like 2 for 2 in that, against the bullpen, which again, probability is very slim that would happen when the bullpen comes in. So we have a high probability that, you can smash this bet, okay? This has been something that you could use on the MLB season that is going to just pretty much print money for you, okay? Now, the tricky part of this is going to be the sports books. So I'm going to get into that in step 3, though, and tell you guys which sports books that you need to be able to find this stuff at, because not every sports book allows you to do that. Why? Because, like I said, you could print money doing this bet. All right, let's get into step 3 here. So step 3, we're going to talk about the odds, because this is something obviously everybody needs to pay attention to. So the odds on this certain bet, usually what you'll find is, I'd say anywhere from minus 330 to, you'll find even, I swear, you'll find minus 700 sometimes, depending on the batter. If they bat lower in the lineup and they're not, good average whatsoever, then you'll find like a minus 700 or whatnot. So what do we got to do here to make this obviously worth it, right? So if you find a minus 330 number or possibly lower, then for that, you can single bet. Okay? You can single bet that if it makes sense, obviously, right? You need this to be at a probability rate of around like that 77% to make that worth it. Okay, and you could single bet that. Now, if you find odds like this, minus 700, what you need to do there is you have to put that into a 2-teamer. Okay, so you would have to take, a minus 700 with a minus 500, put those together, and that would probably produce somewhere between like minus 250 or whatnot, something in that range, maybe even less. Okay, but you would need to make sure as well, if you're going to do this, that those hitters, their percentage, their probability percentage, needs to be 80% or higher. All right? If you're going to do that, they need to be 80% or higher for sure. You cannot have a 70% and a 65% put together to do a 2-teamer. You can't. They need to be high probabilities for you to be able to do the 2-teamer there to wedge those. Now, some people might say, oh, minus 330 on a single bet, you don't really win anything there. But you have to think of it this way. When you're hitting a play at 77% to 80% to 85% of the time, you're going to stack. You're going to win 8 out of every 10 bets that you make, 9 out of every 10 bets that you make, and you're going to stack that little bit that you make. Now, the reason why people shy away from stuff like this is because they have no money. All right? We did a poll for this year, all right, so far. 80% of sports bettors have less than $500 to use for sports betting. 80%. It's crazy. That means that everybody that's trying this game is broke, which ideally, that's why people go and they try to gamble, because they don't have money, right? But when you don't have no money, you're not going to make money. So you have to realize that. You do need money. You need money to be able to make any type of money doing anything. If you don't have money, you're out of luck, okay? Now, if you're satisfied with having a small amount of money, making little bits of money and just keep stacking it, then yeah, this stuff is all for you. But if you're looking for that quick come up with a couple $100 to double up, this is not where you're gonna get that. Okay? You're not gonna get that in sports betting in general. It's not where it's gonna happen long term. Okay? So just understand this, that when it comes to the odds, you have to single bet anything that's minus 330 or lower, and then you have to wedge a 2-teamer for anything that's above this number. If it's minus 700, minus 500, minus 450, something like that, you got to match those together. But the probabilities need to be, and I'm going to circle that too, probabilities need to be 80% and above. If they're not 80% and above, then you can't put those two together. because the probability goes way down if these percentages are less than 80%. Okay, now where do you find this stuff? Okay, so I'll write them down for you up here. There's one which is ESPN Bet. Okay, you can find this on ESPN Bet, and then you can also find this on Unibet as well. Right now, these are the only two that I've been able to see that you could find that. Now, if you're in Vegas, there is STN Sports. STN Sports that allows you to do this as well, which is crazy because usually Vegas is the worst with this and they would never allow certain sports books to allow you to do this, but there is one. And if you're in Vegas, I would take advantage of that now before they realize, they're not going to let that go anymore. So there are a couple sports books, like I said, that do offer this, but majority don't. Why? Because you can print money with this strategy. You literally can win nonstop using this strategy as long as you followed exactly what I just showed you in those 3 steps. Now let's go through those steps one more time so that way you guys understand. First step, you want to find batters that are going against a pitcher with at least 10 at-bats that are batting 200 or below against that pitcher. Like we had, for example, here, Sale against Judge. He's got 12 at-bats versus him. He's batting 190. That's something that you'd want to write down. Step number 2, find the overall probability for that hitter to go under 1.5 hits. Not 0.5, 1.5 hits. And then overall on the season. Okay, you want it to be 70% or above. Like we said, for example, if Judge was batting overall 72% at under 1.5 hits, that would be a play that we'd end up going with. And then, when we move on to the odds. The odds, what you're going to find here is you can single bet anything minus 330 and below. But if it's above that, minus 400, minus 500, minus 700, you have to wedge those two together with a 2-teamer. But they both need to be an 80% probability apiece. They have to be, okay? If they're not, you cannot wedge them together. Where can you find these bets? You can find them at ESPN Bet, STN Sports in Vegas, and Unibet. Okay, those are the sports books that you could use to be able to put this stuff together. Now, like I said before, you guys will print money using this strategy, okay? You will. I know, because I've already done it. So you can print money using this strategy, and it's not flashy. I'll just be honest with you. It's not flashy. It's not fun to watch a hitter not get any hits, but who cares? If you're there for entertainment, you're there for the wrong purpose. You need to be there to make money. If you're serious about making money, this is the type of strategy that will make you money. It's not fun to watch, but guess what? It's fun when your account keeps stacking up, okay? Now, another thing is make sure that, I'm going to get this in the comments a million times. They can't find this on the sportsbook. Again, this is only available at certain sportsbooks. So if, you don't have access to these sportsbooks, most likely you're not going to be able to find that bet. It's just like that. You're not going to be able to find it most of the time. Okay? Because I've looked at every sportsbook, and these are the only ones that I've found it at. If you guys find it at a different one, make sure you guys throw it down in the comments to help everybody out as well. If you guys want to learn all the strategies that I use to make money month in and month out, make sure you guys click the link in the description so you could join the winning team and instead stop being a part of that 90+% that just donates their money every single week. Or that 80% that's completely broke and never has any money to be able to do anything. If you guys don't want to be a part of that crowd, make sure you guys click the link in the description. And remember, when you have an edge, then every bet becomes a winning opportunity. I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.